Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Happy Monday, Lock Shoppers. Thank you very much for joining us for a Monday episode of The Lock Shop. NBA Game 5 tonight. Lock Shop on the Nielsen Media Coolbet Network, brought to you by our great partners at Coolbet. Watch your Lock Shop play of the day. I'll have that for you a little bit later on today. Probably an NBA play for tonight as well. And Huss and I are going to dive into that game, kind of the one thing we're focusing on tonight. But, man, a lot to focus on from the weekend, Huss. Hey, if Tyrrell Hatton and then eventually Tommy Fleetwood aren't going to win the Canadian Open and we're not going to cash a winner, no better guy to do it than Nick Taylor, the Canadian, in dramatic fashion, buddy. That was unbelievable.
Dusty, I've had a couple close calls this year on the golf course, betting golf. And if I was going to have a 25 to 1 pick, lose on a fourth playoff hole after 2 putts to win, let it be to a Canadian, ending almost 70 years of futility in our National Open. That putt by Nick Taylor, 72 feet, the longest of his entire career up until that point. All-time moment. Even I, that saw basically $500 burning in front of my eyes as it went into the hole, was pretty fired up for that. And I mean, it's something we'll never forget. We'll be talking about for years, the way it happened, the dramatics. Adam Hadwin getting blown up by Terry Tate, who was working security. Working security on
That
the
was
18th
so good.
hole. I mean, just truly an all-time Canadian sports moment. And you know what? I just hope that karma for that close call rewards me.
Yes.
Coming into LACC, and we're going to be doing the golf picks tomorrow. We're getting out of it, ahead of it a little early right now.
Yeah, let me just quickly lay out the schedule for you. Lock Shop today will set up NBA Game 5. Tomorrow we'll have our U.S. Open picks, and we'll get on Game 5 of the Stanley Cup playoff tomorrow as well. I'm heading out on a golf trip, so we won't have an episode Wednesday or Thursday. We will tweet out our Thursday night CFL pick, and then we'll have a Friday episode. I might be in rough shape Friday morning, but we'll have a Friday episode to give you the rest of week 2 in the Canadian Football League. Yeah, it'll be an interesting week for me. So, yeah, Tuesday and Friday episodes here, and we'll get to the CFL in just a second. But I mean, for Taylor to roll it, like, just, it couldn't script it any better, Huss. Like, 72-footer for Eagle to win it, Canadian Open. I mean, I was very disappointed in Tyrrell Hatton's Saturday, because if he even goes 3 or 4 under on Saturday, he kind of rolls with this tournament. But so he kind of let me down. I'm going to double back around to him at some point this season. I know that. But for a Canadian heritage moment to pop up, it was just, I was calling the game, that Riders Elks game, when it was all going down. I wish I would have been watching that live, though. That would have been phenomenal drama.
It was. Well, and the thing is, the playoff went so long. I mean, I literally just sat on my ass in front of TSN for an incredible shift yesterday. I mean, with the drama of the golf and having Tommy in it, it was going to be impossible to get me away from it. And it went so long that it overlapped with the football game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had flicked over a couple times after the second playoff hole, I think, and you guys were already going. So I did know that you were unfortunately not going to be able to see it live. But yeah, it was great. And hey, one thing about Hatton, you know, Feinberg and I were talking about this last week off air, and we were sniffing around some of the books on the Hatton number. And I actually bet Hatton for next week, or for this week at the US Open.
I like that.
At Coolbet last week, before the RBC started, he was at 80 to 1.
What?
He was at 80 to 1. I have an 80 to 1 ticket on Tyrrell Hatton. Yesterday, at the beginning of the day, he was 50 to 1. And then after another 64, he's now at 35 to 1. So, you know, if anything, normally those numbers kind of go up a little bit once all the smoke gets on other players. But, I mean, he was just, with the exception of a crummy Saturday round, which cost him winning the event, he was absolutely dialed in. So, but anyways, we'll have a full night to peruse the Coolbet lines, and we will get into that tomorrow. But listen, I could talk about this tournament. When you think about the way the week started, with the Live PGA takeover, I mean, completely hijacked everything that was happening. To have those sort of players in the mix, I mean, the only thing we really were missing was a good final round from Rory to get him into it. But man, Justin Rose was there, and then it was Hatton, and of course Fleetwood was there the entire time. CT Pan and Nick Taylor. I thought he was done once he bogeyed 16. I thought, oh wow, that is going to be
good
it.
run, but coming up short, yeah.
And then he did what he had to do, went birdie, and Fleetwood's got to be killing himself. I mean, he really should have won that tournament on 18. Yeah. I mean, a couple of poor decisions and execution ended up being a bogey. But I'll tell you what, it all conspired to give us a 72-footer for Eagle to win the tournament. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, even if $500 vanished right in front of my eyes.
A pretty good week one in the Canadian Football League as well. We end up going 2-2. We get there in different ways, but we each go 2-2 in week one of the Canadian Football League picks. And Huss, I mean, for week one, I don't mind going 2-2. I'm very happy not knowing much about the teams just yet. I'm okay coming out of this thing being 50% in week one.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, I was out to a 2-0 start, so you're not really too happy once you get there to be 2-2. And I'll be honest, I didn't see a lot of the Ottawa-Montreal game, although I saw that the under came in quite easily, as did it. I'll say the one pick that I had, and I picked that one in the BC Calgary game.
Yep.
But I could have almost said that for the other games outside of the Bombers, is that, these offenses are going to be in work in progress. I think the unders are the play. And certainly that would have been the case. I guess the totals went 1-3. Obviously the Bomber game went over.
It's over, yeah.
And what a bizarre game that was.
That was just great.
I mean, I took Bombers on the spread, and I didn't feel great about that. That was one that, you got to go one way or the other. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, the continuity. Man, their offense looked awesome. But how in a million years that Hamilton, never mind being in a position late in the game to cover, they were in a position late in the game to actually tie it up or maybe get it to OT.
Yeah, they were down 8 in the fourth quarter, yeah.
And did nothing on offense.
They did nothing on offense in that game, and they still managed to work their way back into it. So long live the Canadian Football League. Like, thrilling second half of that game to give us a game. We'll give you our picks for week 2. Like I said, later in the week, we'll get a Twitter pick on Thursday and then full-blown picks on Friday.
Hey, just before we move on from the CFL, I mean, you're in Edmonton. I did catch some of your show this morning. Often, that I have a sick habit of when I see a team lose a game.
I knew that's why you were listening today, you sick bastard. I knew it.
Well, I was actually going to tune into the post game last night, but I didn't get there. But then I thought, this will be interesting. Dude, 3 shots from the 1-yard line in the fourth quarter, down 4. I mean, that is just, that doesn't happen in the Canadian Football League. I mean, credit to the Riders, who stood up. And by the way, shout out to TSN. That camera angle they have right on top of the line of scrimmage was, that was the best look at a goal line play I've ever seen before. Amazing.
That's a spider cam right up on top. It's awesome.
But you got to get that in.
Yeah.
You have got to get that in. I mean, listen, I didn't hear the post game or anything. I'm sure Chris Jones was cantankerous as always. And
he was.
Was he blaming the media? Was it the media's fault?
He said to Rashog, that's a horrible question. And then said to another guy later and think that's a bad question too. So he was up to his old tricks. Let's just say that.
Rashog got a, that's a horrible question.
Yeah. That didn't sit well with Shoggy.
How did he handle that one?
Didn't sit well with him. So it's fun week 2 stuff brewing here in the CFL. But tonight it's the NBA, Huss. And look, we were all over the Denver Nuggets to win this thing in 5. I mean, if the Heat didn't shoot lights out in game 2, it's already over. We're both on Denver here, -8.5. And that Jokic TD is not a touchdown. It's a triple-double tonight. And you got him at -102.
He's that good. He could get a touchdown if need be. Yeah, listen, the champagne's on ice. Adam Hadwin left a couple of bottles back in the room that we can get to Denver tonight to fire up. I know. I think it's time for goggles in the locker room and get that champagne ready to go because the Larry O.B., I think, is getting handed out tonight. Listen, as shocking and surprising as the Heat's Game 2 win in Denver was, I think what it did was completely compose the Denver Nuggets to go in on the road and exert themselves as clearly the superior team in this series. And that's exactly what they did. I mean, they won and covered handily in both games 3 and game 4. And now it's time in front of the home fans to get it done and have a party that'll last a few days in Denver. You know, looking at a bunch of the options, I was going to look at a point total, and I didn't see a straight point total for Jokic. But why not a triple-double in this final game? The guy's pretty much done everything else, and he actually was somewhat quiet. I think he only had 4 assists in game number 5, but the over-under on his assists is 10.5 for the game tonight. I know he's not a guy that seemingly cares about individual stats, but for a guy that probably was the MVP, that got jobbed, why not go out, throw 30 on the board, grab a dozen rebounds, throw 10 or 11 assists, and put an exclamation mark on one of the great seasons of all time in NBA history. Their team is ready to do that, but he is the leader. It all starts and ends with Jokic. Full respect to Jamal Murray, the Canadian, who's unbelievable as well. But I just think this is an opportunity for the Joker to really put his stamp on the season, on this series, and the finals. Give me a Jokic triple-double, just under even money. And as I say, I think they probably get ahead, and I'm not expecting a lot of drama in the fourth quarter in this one, Dustin.
Yeah, I don't think so either. We're both on the 8.5. Denver at home. I expect them to come out and absolutely blitz the Miami Heat tonight as midnight hits for Cinderella, Jimmy Butler, and the Heat. Just to be clear here, my original play was going to be a Jokic triple-double as well, so I'm 100% on board with you tonight at -102. He needs 14 assists tonight to become the first player in NBA history to average a triple-double in the NBA final. So keep that in mind. I don't know if he goes out and pushes for that, but that would allow him to accomplish something that MJ didn't do, that LeBron didn't do, that Kareem, like nobody's done it. So 14 assists tonight will get that done for him. So I wanted to go find something else. I'm going to get on Aaron Gordon here over 12.5. Gordon had a huge game 4, 27 points, took 15 shots. So far in this series, he's gone off for 27, 11, 12, and 16. The number tonight is set at 12.5. So it's basically down at where his low end has been so far in this series, which I really like. I mean, he has emerged as the third best offensive weapon. Like, it hasn't been Michael Porter. It hasn't been anyone else. Gordon has become that third weapon. And watching him in that last game, man, he's kind of, you're like, this is that Aaron Gordon that came in with the magic and was just a stud. And now he's kind of taking that back seat in Denver to Jamal Murray and Jokic. But he showed in game 4, man, he's still got it. So I really like Gordon over 12.5 points tonight in a game that they will likely run away with. I think he'll be involved early, and I think he'll be involved often for them. So give me the over 12.5 for Aaron Gordon tonight.
You know, I'm just looking. I for whatever reason, I don't know why they weren't coming up, but the player points are up right now. The Joker number's 30.5, and it's actually plus 110 on the over. I don't mind that at all. Michael Porter Jr. has been invisible for this series.
Yes, he has.
And yet they still are where they are. He's got an over of 11. I bet he gets that. I bet he has a better game, and I think they'll give him plenty of opportunities if they are in that great spot. The one thing I will say, and as I say, if you're with us on Denver -8.5, and you do think, like, my one worry about the Jokic triple-double is that they're just so far ahead, they start getting some guys into games that they haven't been before. If you do want to sort of maybe ensure that, you can get the Nuggets -6.5 in the first half at plus money as well.
I don't mind that.
I think they go out. Yeah, exactly. So anyways, the Joker over, the triple-double, the first half Nuggets line, the line, like, to me, this is all Nuggets. And credit to the Heat. They've had a great run, but the clock is just about to strike midnight on the Heat. And I guess we'll see tomorrow if it's 11:59 for the Florida Panthers in the Cup final.
Could be a finish for them tomorrow, and we will get into that tomorrow here on the Lock Shop. We'll have a full U.S. Open preview. Hoping Pat Gregoire from Coolbet can pop by and join us for that one as well. We're doing it a day early, but we'll have that for you on Tuesday. All it does is give you more time to listen to that episode before you place your bets for the U.S. Open, so that's a good one. And we'll give you a Game 5 pick, Vegas and Florida as well. We need to get that Matthew Tkachuk 10-minute misconduct bet. Need to get that out there. Will he take another 10-minute? Let's see, 3 for 4 so far in the series in that category. So, we'll see what happens. Obviously, he's a little bit banged up too. So we'll get into that a little bit more tomorrow. Huss, Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up in about 10 minutes, buddy. So we'll let you slide away, and we'll catch up tomorrow. I cannot wait to preview the U.S. Open, man.
Yeah, needless to say, we've got a very busy show today. We will have a guest on to talk about Nick Taylor's big win. Stephen Wino's joining me from the Cup final. Jeff Hamilton from the Winnipeg Free Press. We'll talk about the Bombers win in the opener. And of course, Dubois drama continues on Winnipeg Sports Talk. And now we can add Connor Hellebuck in the mix as well. So no shortage of things to get to on WST. If you're jumping with us on Twitter, head on over to YouTube at Sports Talk WPG. We're live coming up at the top of the hour.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Later, dude.